1, 2, 3 provant, estem aquí, llestos per sortir, fa una miqueta més de núvol. Perfecte.
Vous avez beaucoup de pression, j'imagine, pour performer. We return to the action here at Le Castellet. The Circuit Paul Ricard is ready for its second battle in the EUROCUP-3 Championship 2026. Earlier on today, James Igotzi from Miami in Florida came through to get the victory in fantastic fashion with a fighting drive that showcased himself as a championship contender against René Lammers and Alex Powell. But of course, the pole sitter from that encounter, Chiara Malazzari, came into the weekend as the reigning Spanish Winter Championship contender and the title winner in the EuroCup-3 category across Portimao, Jarama and Aragon earlier this season. Well, it's now the proper battle in 2026. The first race is done. The sprint race, the first one of 3 in 2026, is about to get underway. EuroCup-3 has already given us a very exciting battle on the circuit. Now we're going to get another, as all of the contenders prepare to do battle once again. Compared to the race earlier on today, where there were 25 points available for the win, in the sprint race, it's 10 minutes shorter, and there are only 10 points available for the race win. So obviously, that means things are going to be very different. Pole position goes the way of Enzo Tarnvanichkul of Thailand, alongside the Lebanese talent, Chris El Faghali. So, with battle lines now drawn, and the contenders ready to go onto the circuit once again, for only 20 minutes of race action, who's going to get the victory? We'll find out shortly. From me, Jake Sanson, in the commentary box, we drop down to the pit lane where Alex Garcia is ready for more exciting action here at Paul Ricard. Hello, Alex. Good to see you again after the fantastic opening race. What's the skinny down in pit lane?
Oh boy, are we ready for more action. Well, the latest news is that we have a little bit colder temperature than we had in the first race, so a little bit cloudier, although cloudy might not be the word, but a bit less sunny, a bit cooler. I can feel quite a nice breeze, but that of course means temperatures are going to be different with a shorter race as well. All that means, Jake, is that I think we're going to see drivers pushing from the very first lap until the very last corner. Always a good thing to see.
So ultimately, it looks like the best 6 drivers from the championship that we were expecting to be towards the front are currently in the top 6 of the championship. We go into another new challenge, 20-minute race rather than 30, and only 10 points on offer for the win with a reverse grid. So is this where we really get to see for the first time the Dallara 326 going wheel to wheel in combat in summer temperatures? This could be a very interesting challenge for all the drivers to get used to on a circuit that we know, Alex, is precarious when it comes to traction.
It should be. We know that dogfighting is something that this car is very good at. We know that drivers love it. We know that this track is tricky, but it allows for some late braking maneuvers. We've seen them in the past. We've seen them this morning. So I would expect to see them as well here in the sprint race. But more than anything, 20 minutes. You know what that means, Jake. People are going to start very eager and very anxious to get those moves done before there is any potential safety car. Why? We know the drill. If you start the race, you do those moves in the first couple of laps. If there's a safety car, you potentially have almost half of the race gone before the race is restarted. And then at that point, it's anybody's game to get those positions back. So they will be starting from the word go. Yes, they always do. But when you know that you don't have half an hour, you only have 20 minutes, minus whatever time might be taken away by the safety car, you need to get those moves done before you can even think about them.
So here is the starting lineup. Enzo Tarnvanichkul and Chris El Faghali, front row of the starting grid. They're going to give us plenty of excitement and competition as we get ourselves under starters' orders here at Paul Ricard. The cars obviously shortly to make their way out onto the circuit, and it's getting pretty busy. Let's talk you through the grid in full. Tarnvanichkul and El Faghali, then Alcifer Neto alongside Santino Panetta, Gianmarco Brudel and Heiter Delagnol on the third row of the grid, followed by Rafael Parad and Ian Eichmans. Then we've got Alex Powell and James Igotzi, race winner of the first. Then René Lammers and Chiara Malazzari, Filippo Fiorentino and Thomas Strauven from Stefan Bostenjev and Gino Trappa. Kasper Stuker is alongside Linus Lundqvist. Then Luca Vizirano and Bart Harrison from Lorenzo Campos and Andrei Petrovic, Ryan Caretti and Stylianos Kolovos. Then we have Bianca Bustamante alongside Andrei Rodriguez, Eduard Borgna and Renzo Barboy. At the back of the field, it'll be Benjamin Beckley and Patrick Hosenroder, the Australian, trying to fight his way through the field. Definitely going to be tricky then for 20 minutes plus 1 lap. As all of the contenders know, there is no two ways about this. They have got to get on with their A game. The pit lane is open and the cars are making their way to the grid. Get ready for Eurocup 3. For the first time, it's the sprint race. But as ever in Eurocup 3, action is guaranteed.
We have been doing such cars for almost 50 years, but it's always a big emotion to start a new partnership like the one with the EUROCUP-3. I think it will be a great championship, like it has proven to be in the last years, and we cannot wait to show once again the capabilities of our 326 cars to the world. I mean, it's one of the best cars in his class in terms of aerodynamics, lightweight and performance. I think EUROCUP-3 has witnessed what it can do in just 3 years of history. It started with 15-20 cars, and now we are ready to step up with high-level teams up to 30 cars. So what can I say more? I mean, it's a super credible partner, and it's the right partner for Dallara to work with. Car platform is well known, but you know, when you introduce new technical innovation, it's always a challenge. But I'm sure the shakedown will prove once again how reliable is this car, how fast it is, and how easy to run. So worried not, but let's say excited. So far, I think that EUROCUP-3 has proven that it sticks to our core values, which are humbleness, loyalty, and curiosity. So all the people that I spoke to within the EUROCUP-3 team are really aligned with the Dallara core values. So I think it will be a bright future ahead of us.
Great to hear from Francesco Ravenetti of Dallara, talking us through the Dallara 326, how it came to be and what its design platform for the championship is moving forward. And of course, he makes a very good point. From the 2023 season, the first ever EuroCup-3 championship, to now, the grid has magnified by 100%. We started with 15 cars at the very first race in 2023 at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS, and now here we are 3 years later with 30 cars on the grid. Massive growth, fantastic battles up and down the length and breadth of the grid here, Alex, and it showcases how popular the EuroCup-3 championship is as a choice for drivers moving up the ladder.
Extremely popular, Jake, and you know, I was talking to some of the drivers that have joined the series this year, and they were just talking about how good of a year it is to join, because the car is new and it's a very good moment to learn a new car as opposed to other years where the veteran drivers have more experience. It is a very good moment as well, because when you jump to this type of machine, you always learn something. And of course, it is a great moment because the calendar and the whole championship is in a great moment in terms of competitivity. So we have lots of good teams, lots of good drivers, a fantastic calendar. And I think that's exactly what, as a driver, you want to have, because that's where you can show your good skills. If you show your skills against a smaller field, or with a not very interesting car, or with the circuits that are not necessarily very relevant to professional motorsport, that's a little bit less interesting.
It's very true. I just wanted to thank everybody on the stream, by the way, from race one, particularly those who actually messaged me in between races wanting to know what my lap times were when I went on the simulator around Paul Ricard in the Dallara. I'm only going to say I wasn't on the pace, let's put it that way. I need a little bit more training. If there's any teams and drivers out there that want to help me get faster, then please do get in touch. This is a fantastic car, and we've seen already from race one, Alex, there were great dynamic battles, not just for the victory, not just for the points positions, but all the way through the field. And it's because this car, with its wild tendencies, with its no-nonsense attitude. You've got to be so precise, and it really kicks you up a gear from the F4 car. What Dallara have accomplished with this is a car that wants to be raced, but also needs to be treated with respect and discipline.
Exactly. And I mean, Jake, I took note of this, so I'm just going to tell you, if you were within or below 2 minutes, 6 seconds and 7:02, then you would be qualified for the race. So if you have a time within that, you can be happy that you would be allowed to start the race. So that's a good thing.
I got a 2:04. I got a 2:04, so that's all right.
Oh, then you're in. Then you're in, Jake. That's good news. That's good news, mate. Good job. No, but really, it is a car that demands that you treat it with respect. And you know, I was thinking, because I went to find out about this. You remember that we have seen in the Spanish Winter Championship, as well as here in Paul Ricard, drivers struggling with the starts. Unfortunately, Keanu Alazari was one of those drivers who struggled in the start earlier today. And I went to ask to Dallara, a good friend in there, to know why this happens. And they were telling me, of course, it is a combination of elements, which includes the electronics of the engine and the engine response. But one key element in that story is the carbon clutch, which means that you have to be very precise. And in their words, not mine, the difference between a great start and a horrible start is extremely thin. So when you see a driver struggling on the start and having that bad start that sometimes happens, that's because they were trying to go that extra mile to try to get a good launch from the line. From what they were telling me in Dallara, if you just want to get it started, it's easy. But you need to go beyond that if you're fighting for the win. So that's why we see that sometimes. It's one of those elements that combines with everything else that this 326 has to offer, that requires that you do that extra bit more effort to make sure that you can extract the most out of it.
And of course, it's little things like that that make a championship fight as intense as we know it's going to be in 2026. Keanu Alazari was able to fight his way back to 7th position, which means he now scores 9 points in the championship fight. So that's definitely better than it could have been. But at the same time, he's already got 25 points loss that could have come his way, and that's already gone to James Zigotzi. He's definitely on the comeback charge, but it'll be fascinating for me personally to watch those 4 drivers, Zigotzi, Lammers, Powell and Alazari, all in together on the 5th and 6th rows of the grid trying to make progress, when you've got drivers like Taran Vanichkul, El Fagali, Feldman Neto, Panetta with a golden opportunity to take their first win at this level.
And here's the thing. Just because it's a reverse grid, that doesn't mean that the drivers who are starting on the best place positions on this race are not really up to snuff. More on the opposite, we are seeing some of the drivers who have been historically very good to do recovery races. Taran Vanichkul comes to mind as one of the best examples of that. But they are drivers who are quick in their own right. And when they have had a good qualifying, they have been challengers for the win. So that means that potentially we have, I don't know, 6, 7 different drivers who could be winning the race. And that is a lot of candidates.
It certainly is, and what it dedicates to us, what it demonstrates, is that we're definitely going to see a lot of unpredictability across this race. 10 minutes less, drivers out of their normal positions. Enzo Vanichkul did get a win in the Spanish Winter Championship in this car, but with this being the main body of the season now, 37 degrees Celsius track temperatures with a 19 degrees Celsius air temperature and 15 km/h crosswinds. It's going to be tricky for everybody, but that's when the mistakes creep in. We saw a few drivers in the midfield overcooking it, the back end starting to snap, a spin or two here or there. This is a track that punishes mistakes, and now that the drivers have been left alone on the starting grid, this is their time to get themselves dialed in. A cool, calm mentality is what's going to take them to the victory.
Exactly, and you have to remember, this goes for all of our viewers as well, when you go out of the track here in Paul Ricard, yes, you may not have the dirt adding onto your tires as you may have when you go on the dirt or you go on the grass, gravel, on other tracks. But here you have this alloy mixed with the asphalt on those lines, blue and red lines, which will degrade your tires further than usual. So if you go and step on that red zone, your tires are going to suffer more, which is always something that you need to keep in mind, because mistakes here cost, I'm not going to say more, but they cost differently to what they do in other tracks. Yes, maybe you don't lose that much time, but you may lose time in terms of tire life, which is not necessarily that important today, but it could be, and it could be tomorrow, and it's something to keep in mind that's, again, completely different to any other track.
Thanks, Alex. We're getting ourselves ready as the cars move away from the starting grid and go around on their formation lap. Tarvanichkul and Alfagali front row of the grid. Alcio Felmanetto and Santino Panetta second row. Gianmarco Pradel and Heiter Delagnol. Rafael Parard and Ian Eichmans. Alex Powell and James Zigotzi. René Lammers and Keanu Alazzari. Then we have Filippo Fiorentino of Brazil and Thomas Strauven of Belgium. Behind them, it's going to get competitive between Stefan Bostenjev and the Argentine Gino Trapper as the cars move away from the grid to begin their formation lap. Gaspar Stuka, the pole, alongside the Swede Linus Lundqvist. Then it is Luca Vizarano, the Romanian, alongside the British driver Bart Harrison for Double R. Lorenzo Campos of Angola and the Serbian Andrej Petrovic for Technicar. Row 12, Ryan Caretta, the French Thai, and Stylianos Kolovos of Greece on the 12th row of the grid. Then Bianca Bustamante for the Philippines and Andre Rodriguez from the United States. Edouard Bonya, the newest man from France, on home soil, alongside Renzo Barboy, and then Benjamin Beckley of Costa Rica, beside the Australian Patrick Hosenroder. So we're green flag for the formation lap. All of the contenders moving around the circuit, trying to get temperature into the tyres and brakes. It's neutral for the contenders for the title, as it were. The best placed of them is Ian Eichmans, 8th on the starting grid. We've got so many drivers in front who could make or break a race. Enzo Tarvanichkul is already a race winner, as we mentioned, in EUROCUP-3, having taken a victory during the Spanish Winter Championship. But this is a different ball game. The Spanish Winter Championship is almost a test season for the drivers, and it certainly gives us a bit of a clue as to who's going to be strong. But it's only when you get out there and put on a show for real that we really get the true answers. There's Eichmans, and then Powell, Igotzi, Lammers with the blue nose cone, and then it is Keanu Alazzari in the all pink of the Alpine-backed high-tech car. So with all the drivers getting themselves dialed in, we had one safety car period that lasted for 4 laps in the earlier race today. We can't afford to have a safety car period that lasts 4 laps in this race. 20 minutes in duration only, plus the additional lap. But of course, the Dallara Stradale is on call just in case it's needed. But all of the contenders ready for another exciting bout. Race 1 earlier today, definitely giving us plenty to get excited about. The sprint race now will be very different. Only 10 points available for the winner in this one compared to the 25 that were available earlier on. So if you don't do so well in the sprint race, it's not catastrophic. But in a championship that's likely to be a very contentious and aggressive one from the start of the season to the finish in Barcelona in November, every single point will count. So even if you only cross the line 5th or 6th in the sprint race at the end of the season, that could be the difference between the championship and the vice championship. So all of the contenders rounding the final turn now to get themselves into position once again. Enzo Tarvanichkul, based in Marbella in Spain, but originally from Bangkok in Thailand. And Chris Alfagali of Lebanon, 2nd on the grid, alongside in the Drivex car. Drivers making their way to the starting grid. There you can see 19.9 degrees Celsius air temperature, 15 kilometers an hour crosswinds are what really makes the difference here. 43% humidity, but 0 chance of rainfall. So it's going to be a fascinating dynamic for the drivers as we get close to 5 p.m. here in the beautiful French Riviera. The nearest Formula One circuit to where we are currently based is the streets of Monaco. And these guys will definitely want this race to be the first rung on the ladder to getting to that illustrious race. And we're in the month of May, just to make it all the more relevant. Tarvanichkul on the right, Alfagali on the left. Let's race again at Paul Ricard. It's an aggressive start. 2 or 3 drivers left at the far side of the grid. 4 drivers not getting away initially, but Tarvanichkul's made an absolute flyer. No problem at all for him as he heads to the first corner in front of Alfagali. Side by side for 3rd position. Is there enough room for everybody to get through the chicane without incident? They're all trying to make sure they can fit through. Couple of drivers running wide onto the curbs, but using the runoff to good effect and rejoining safely. It's going to be an interesting battle for the 3rd, 4th, 5th positions behind our 2 leaders, as we've already got the MP trio of Pradel, Feldman and Eichmans in a very close move. They run out of the hairpin and they will go back onto the Mistral straight. but it's certainly looking pretty tight as René Lammers tries to make up a place or two. He's got Alex Powell and Chiara Malazzari for company, as well as the high-tech of Santino Panetta. But it's a great start for Tom Vanichkul. El Fagali's going with him, and as they run through down to the chicane, El Fagali is already trying to take on the tie as they go into the chicane for the first time. It's Feldman in third, then Pradel, Eichmann, Delagnol, Perard, Egozzi, Panetta, Lammers and Alazzari. And a run wide there from one of the high-techs. That must be Panetta. Has damage to René Lammers' front wing. Lammers has got damage to the front wing. He's going to have to pit in. There's no way he can stay out there with that damage as El Fagali sweeps past Vanichkul on the back straight, side by side with the teammates, as that is Eichmann and Pradel going wheel to wheel. Is there going to be enough room for both of them to fit round the long sweeping right-hander? Tom Vanichkul has another crack at El Fagali and then runs wide. That's going to be a big problem for the tie as they head to the tight left-hander. He may get pressure from the Brazilian Alce Feldman. I think there may have been a little rubbing contact between the MPs of Gianmarco Pradel and Ian Eichmann, but there's damage to René Lammers. He is dropping backwards down the field, and the Dutchman is going to have to limp back to the pits. It's no repeat victory for him in the sprint race, that is for sure. He obviously got the rookie win in the earlier race today. He's certainly not going to get it in this one, as a run wide there from the Drivex. Down the straight, side by side, that is Alex Powell going wheel to wheel with Filippo Fiorentino, the Brazilian. Fiorentino's going to try and hold on here from the man from Miami alongside him. Is that going to be enough for the Brazilian? No, Powell's got the confidence and he runs right round the outside of Filippo Fiorentino. Fantastic start to this race as everybody mixes it through, but it's René Lammers who makes his way to the pit lane to come in and change the nose cone. What a disaster for the Flying Dutchman. So René Lammers having some difficulties as we run through on the far side of the circuit, back onto the back straight. And that is wheel to wheel between Drino Trapper and Luca Vizarano. Vizarano, the Romanian, having a good scrap. We've got Trapper and Bostajev trying to make progress as well. But Chris El Fagali leads the way, and he's pulling clear of Enzo Tom Vanichkul big time. That is a fantastic start from Chris El Fagali. He's already got a second and a half ahead of Enzo Tom Vanichkul as things currently stack up. So through they come again. Bit of a shuffle of the deck in the midfield as that looks like Bart Harrison trying to take on Gino Trapper. Down the straight, up towards that long flowing right-hander that you've got to keep aggressive on. Harrison round the far side. Is that going to be enough to drive right round Trapper? Harrison's on the curbs. Trapper's placed in there, but Harrison can make a hoodwink. Meanwhile, it's civil war at MP. Check this out. Feldman's under pressure from Pradel and Eichmann's. In fact, have they both got past the Brazilian already? Very big pressure at the moment. Well, Feldman's still staying in front of Pradel for the time being. Ian Eichmann is setting things up in 5th position. But the MP drivers, there's not going to be any team orders here at all. So they're just going to be allowed to battle away for position. Bit of a mistake from Pradel at the end of the lap. That gives Ian Eichmann the chance to draw alongside and go for a move into turn 1. Meanwhile, some good battles all the way down the field. This new Dallara 326 definitely giving us some drama. Here comes the move from Eichmann trying to set up Pradel, but the Australian hangs on for the time being. And that's given an opportunity to James Egozzi. He gets ahead of Ian Eichmann. So Egozzi has drawn in front. Up to P5 comes the American. And so the man from Miami giving himself a better chance of getting some decent points on the board. He's up to P5. That's going to be good enough for 6 championship points. And when you compare that to Alazzari, who's looking at 2, Powell, who's looking at 1, and Lammers, who's looking at none at all, it's great news for the American. So El Fagali, Tom Vanichkul, Feldman, Pradel, Egozzi and Eichmann. And Chiara Malazzari's on the move, trying to get up the inside there to make the overtaking move on Rafael Perard. Perard resists him, but he runs wide on the exit of the chicane. And that means that Alazzari could get a chance here. But there's an opportunity as Chiara Alazzari fancies his opportunity now to get past the black pillow of Rafael Perard. The Frenchman really hoping to deliver on home soil. They almost bang wheels as they get to the braking zone. Rafael Berardi's really making Chiara Malazzari sweat for this. He goes long way round and then ducks out for the inside line approach. Now he changes tack and gets up the inside of the Frenchman. He does the soft shoe shuffle on the Frenchman, but he can't finish off the move. Rafael Berardi's really rising to the occasion here. Malazzari tries again. Up to the left-hander, can't make it work, but Berardi's run wide. That's going to set him up for a tight line to the final turn. If Malazzari can slingshot out, this is going to be a decent run to the first corner. In the slipstream, now ducks out, and Malazzari's going to storm past the Frenchman. He really set him up nicely coming out of the final turn. And so Chiara Malazzari gets to the breaking point, fractionally in front, and finishes off the move. Good run from the man from Dubai. So Chiara Malazzari now into 8th position in front of the Frenchman Rafael Berard. And with Alex Powell in 10th and René Lammers continuing down at the back of the field after his pit stop, it's definitely going to be a big points haul for James Igozzi. If things keep going the way they are, is up the inside. That is a lovely bit of aggression on the inside line from Bianca Bustamante. She really needed to be brave on the inside line there to pull off that overtaking move, and she did it beautifully, taking on Linus Lundqvist. That's not just anybody she's overtaken, that's an IndyCar driver. Fabulous run from Bianca Bustamante. Let's look at it again on the inside as she nails the breaking point. She really needed to be strong there on the inside line, gets the job done on Edouard Borgna. And that was a very brave decision she made there to get that one nailed. Stunning from Bianca Bustamante. And anybody who's doubted her credentials, she was pulling off moves like that back in the day in Miami Series Asia against a fleet of men. And did so again in the Indian Racing League, did so again in the F1 Academy, and has done so in GB3 in the past as well. Very talented driver is Bianca Bustamante. Perhaps not of the same advantage level as some of the other drivers around her. It's never easy to come out of Southeast Asia and then transfer all of your skills to Europe and be strong straight out of the blocks. But she has taken all of the credence that she's been given so far and continued to develop. She's going to be scoring points by the end of the season for sure. Up the inside, that's a big mistake from the number 6 going wide there. That is Stylianos Kolovos having a big problem. Well, Kolovos is already pitted by the look of it, so he's actually down in last place, being lapped by the rest of the field already. Nice pressure from the high-tech down on the inside line there to finish off the move on the next of the Drivex cars. That is the duel currently going on between Santino Panetta of Argentina and Filippo Fiorentino of Brazil. So they're having a very solid move of it as they run through to the chicane, down to the double right apex. Very tricky on the brakes of this one. You've got to be patient on the throttle as it'll really kick you out if you mess it up. Luca Vizzarono trying to put himself in the mix of everything here as they continue to work further forward. But great battles so far. Up on the inside line, that's a bit of defensive tactics now, as it looks as though James Igozzi is ready to take on Gianmarco Pradel for 4th position, and the Australian is doing everything he can to keep it back. Very good run to see how everything's going. Continuing to continue on the inside line. Lovely bit of racing from Gianmarco Pradel to keep James Igozzi at bay. Still going strong. To the inside line. Oh, and there's a door wide open. James Igozzi's going to take that. That's an error from Gianmarco Pradel to leave that door wide open for James Igozzi to slip through and up in a 4th position, because if you give him even an inch, James Igozzi's going to take a mile. So El Fagali leads. Tarmanishka, look at the squabble further back. We've got 5 cars trying to occupy the space that normally 3 cars would fill. Fantastic racing in the mid-pack. This is where you're going to need to be quite brave. We've got Bar Harrison, Petrovic, Bostanjev, Hosenroder and Rodriguez all in together here as they chase down Coretti and Harrison. Side by side, Coretti going wheel to wheel with Vizzarono. And Stucker, Trapper and Fiorentino. Here is Stucker trying to get on the far side here. Stucker holds on to his position as he goes wheel to wheel with Gino Trapper, then Filippo Fiorentino, and up the inside that's Vizzarono trying to take on Brian Coretti. They both drift out wide. They're going to rejoin the circuit right in the path of Filippo Fiorentino. That was so close. There's nothing in this. Fantastic battle in the midfield, and you may think, okay, it's not for points, so why are we getting excited about it? Well, you've got to win your battle no matter where it is for position, because even though it's for 13th, 14th place now, next time it could be for the win. So you've got to keep learning, you've got to keep building, and you've got to take every battle as it comes and be the driver on top. Al-Azari trying to close up now on the Dallara Polo car. So the Brazilian will be his next target. Again, down to the braking zone, a couple of choice manoeuvres. Vizzarono tries again, and collision with Ryan Caretti! Oh, one driver had to yield, neither was prepared to do so, and Ryan Caretti is the one who spins around. Very unfortunate for Ryan Caretti. Oh, big run wide. That's Gianmarco Pradel in trouble again. And this time, it's his teammate Ian Eichmanns that storms through. I wonder if Pradel's got a problem. I know for a fact that Ryan Caretti has. He's got damage to the rear wheel. There's the replay. Collision with him and Luca Vizzarono. And unfortunately, he's got big damage to his rear tyre. The left rear taking the brunt of that impact. And still Vizzarono battling away. This time, we've got Patrick Hosenroder working his way through the field. I think that's actually one of the others, one of the other Griffin cores, as we've got a big run wide there. That's Vizzarono dropping back. He's got problems now. Clearly a big difficulty there, as he's clearly taken damage in that collision with Caretti as well, as the drivers work their way through. Big difficulties at the moment. Now we're watching the battle a little further forward. This is Heiter Dallara of Brazil trying to get away from Chiara Al-Azari and Rafael Perard. Al-Azari trying to work his way through at the chicane, looking for his move. Perard wants to get back in on Al-Azari. No chance. Chiara Al-Azari is making that high-tech as wide as a Cadillac right now. Onto the back straight, and that's going to open up a chance for Alex Powell. He was wise through that section as Alcy Feldman is dropping backwards down the field. Something's happened to Alcy Feldman. Alcy Feldman's losing a lot of ground here. So the Brazilian in big trouble. He has dropped out of third position. Oh, he's dropped out of the race by the look of it. Big disaster for the Brazilian, unless, of course, his transponder is not working. But he was comfortably in third position in front of Agozzi. No, there he is, pulling off. That's such a disappointment for the Brazilian. He was having a terrific race up to that point. So very sad indeed for Alcy Feldman Neto. What a disaster. Yellow flags are out, and that's going to be Rafael Perard back on the inside of Al-Azari. Can he finish the job? Al-Azari's trying to keep it to the far side. They are running each other out of road. Al-Azari holds on to the inside line. Safety car is called. Safety car, safety car. So that neutralises things for the time being as the safety car is brought out on circuit. Not an easy situation for the drivers to be in there, as we've got Chris Elfagali's lead wiped out. He is still in the lead, but he had built up a decent advantage over Renzo Tarmanichkul, and that advantage is now gone. Poor Alcy Feldman Neto. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him. He was running in third place very consistently indeed. That's after the hairpin on the far side of the circuit, I think, the double right apex. So that's disappointing. Got a feel for Alcy Feldman Neto. He's had absolutely no luck in the 2026 season thus far. Not even in his native Brazil. He had a fairly decent run at Goiânia until it all fell apart for him in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. And of course, Alcy Feldman Neto will be wanting to get ready for his debut at the Le Mans 24 Hours weekend, because he's got himself a decent chance. Now, of course, that retirement for Alcy Feldman Neto, coupled with the overtaking move on Ian Eichmanns, means that James Igozzi is now looking at a podium finish. What a start to the season. Alex Garcia down in pit lane. We've had all sorts of shenanigans, but James Igozzi is looking good for a podium right now.
Exactly, Jake. All sorts of shenanigans, as you say. You are seeing the GRS from Caretti here as he steps out of the car. That was very unfortunate. Although, you've mentioned this before, he's doing a hell of a fantastic job this first weekend here in EUROCUP-3. And of course, in that way, to my left, we also have a DriveX machine on the pit lane. So as you can see, this safety car moment, which I hope that we will have time to go back racing. It has been causing a bit of mayhem to end the final race of the day.
Yeah, Stylianos Kolovos has joined you down there in pit lane by the look of things. We've got Feldman stopped out on circuit and only 27 of the drivers still going. Vizzarono has rejoined, Lammers has rejoined. They're both at the back. But now, these last couple of minutes or so are going to be about Chris Elfagali and Enzo Tarvanichku holding on from the meteoric rise of the man from Miami. James Zigotzi third. We've got Eichmanns, Pradel, Delagnol all in the points. Alizari P7, Powell P9 behind Perard, and Thomas Strauven on course for the final point. There's still quite a few decent battles in the midfield. We've been seeing the likes of Harrison, Petrovic, Hosenroder, Lundqvist, Bustamante. They've all been in the mix of it. It's been a fantastic race this time so far.
It's been great, especially considering it's a shorter race, so the action has been packed. It has been quite focused on those very few minutes of race that we've seen so far. I hope that we can see those last few minutes. I don't know, maybe 2 laps. We might be lucky at the end. I can see the engine being started on the GRS machine to my right, but I think this is just a regular test. I don't think the car is going back on track, which is unfortunate. But definitely, it's been a fantastic second race of the day. And whilst the amount of points that are going to be given today are not necessarily too big, the implications for the championship at this stage of the season are bigger than they might be later on. So any point counts, and these are valuable points for James Zigotzi, especially considering that win in race 1.
Well, he's now looking at 8 points for third position. Alizari only on course for 4, Powell on course for 2, and Lammers on course for none at all. So as far as the championship is concerned, James Zigotzi putting himself into a sensational position heading into race 2 tomorrow. We've got safety car on track, but turn 7 is clear, so we could get the call any moment now that we're going to go back to racing conditions, which leaves, I think, only 2 laps for green flag lap racing. Anything could happen in those 2 laps, particularly around here, Alex. Paul Ricard is notorious for giving us a bit of a nail-biter at the finish.
Exactly, and we know that restarts here tend to cause a little bit of action, especially because there are long straights, and when you get the group all bunched together, there's always that smart student who outsmarts the others. And we have a bunch of good students who are very smart at the top of the field, so I'm sure that they will be trying to get those things done. A win is a win, a podium is a podium, and if there's a chance to get it, it doesn't matter who you are, you just go for it.
We've just had the command safety car in this lap, Alex, so we are going to go racing this time by, but we've got less than 2 minutes on the clock. By the time they get around, I think we're only going to have a 1 lap dash for victory. I think the time is going to run out before they get to the finish line, so this is going to be a last lap dash to victory. Elfagali and Tarvanichku trying to hang on from Zigotzi, Eichmanns and Pradel. Anything could happen. This is going to be exciting.
Oh, this is going to be very, very good take. So, I don't know, let's hope that we can get to the finish line before the time runs out. That would be the best thing. But, you know, as they say here in France, allons-y.
C'est la guerre is what they also say in France. Safety car in this lap. Here we go then. The marshals are ready. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. The marshals doing a fantastic job to get us going again. So let's see what will happen in what I think is now going to be just 1 lap to go. I don't see us getting to the start-finish line unless we are very, very quick with this restart. That's down to Chris Elfagali. But the safety car is peeling into the pits again this time. So let's see what we're going to get from these last few seconds. Elfagali backing up the pack. Less than 45 seconds on the clock, so it's down to Chris Elfagali. Can he get across the start-finish line with time in his pocket? He has gone on the throttle. Now that's good news for Chris Elfagali. Tarvanichku almost caught out, and he's going to get held here by Zigotzi. So if Elfagali can cross the line in time, we're going to get 2 laps of green, not 1 lap of green. And he's going to make it. We've got 2 laps to go here at Paul Ricard, and it's green, 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 green as we go back to racing in EuroCup-3. And that's already a decent battle between Alizari and Rafael Perard, who's not got the best of restarts, Alizari. He's going to have to work to catch back up to the top 6. He's going to have pressure from Perard round the outside of him, and he gets through. Meanwhile, Powell is going wheel to wheel with his teammate Thomas Strauven. And look who's joining in the party. Santino Panetta wants a piece of this as well. Alizari and Perard side by side down to the braking zone. Alizari round the outside holds on to P7 after all. Fantastic work from the man from Dubai as everyone else is sliding around. That's Kasper Stucker almost going off the road, managing to catch it back behind the 2 high-techs of Panetta and Trappa. And this is going to be fantastic down the Mistral straight. Drivers work their way through. Slipstream City on the back straight as Elfagali tries his best to scamper away from Tarvanichkul and Agotzi. This could be a fabulous victory for the Lebanese if he could just hang on for a lap and a half. Down to the braking zone again, and Perard's going to lose out here to the Griffin core of Thomas Strauven, who's gone even better than Alex Powell in the last couple of corners. This is a fantastic comeback from the Belgian, as off the road goes one of the Technicars. I think that is Andrei Petrovic going out wide. He rejoins quickly, and he's in the mix with the likes of Harrison, Hosenroder, Lundqvist, Rodriguez and Bustamante. Side by side further up, that is Stucker and Fiorentino. The Pole versus the Brazilian. And it is the Brazilian who has to give best here, and that's allowed Bart Harrison a little bit of a look on the inside line. Thank you very much, I'll take that. No, you won't. There's resistance on the way through. Guys, keep this green. On the inside gets Hosenroder to hold on past Bart Harrison. These guys are using all of the racetrack. Fantastic. And still, we are under green conditions as the time has now run down to 0.3 into one of the final hairpin, as everybody managed to get through there without incident. Several cars running wide and now getting onto the home straight as we go onto the final lap here at Paul Ricard. Can we keep it together? Safety car procedure is under investigation apparently, so we need to figure out what the ramifications of that investigation are going to be. And the high-tech drivers almost trip over each other. It's Gino Trapper that comes off worse. He's got to take avoiding action, and any chance he might have had of grabbing a point are long gone. So Trapper falls well out of the contest now. Everybody else is trying to work their way forward. But again, even though these are not for points paying positions, you've got to win your battle for the psychological edge and for the development edge. Everyone trying to get out of that double right apex and onto the back straight with a decent run of rhythm. If the momentum is there, they'll be able to coax it. But 0.7 of a second now between Elfagali and Tarvanichkul. It looks good for the Lebanese driver to get his first victory in EuroCup-3 grade cars. Side by side. Fiorentino is having a fantastic race battle here at Paul Ricard. He's managed to get ahead of Panetta. That puts him 11th, one more place, and Fiorentino scores a point for Brazil. Delanyol is already looking good to score 5 points for Brazil further up the road. But Fiorentino really wants to get it done. He's side by side with Panetta again. He's trying to fight him back. They are almost banging wheels, and Fiorentino is going to hold his line. But up in front, everybody in Lebanon is going to be ecstatic, because after all of the pressure, all of the near misses in the past, all of the errors that have cost him dear in the past, it's not going to be so big a disaster today anymore, as the Drivex man, the former Red Bull Junior, still shows his credence as Chris Elfagali takes the sprint race at Paul Ricard in EuroCup-3. Fabulous race from Chris Elfagali. Ever since the start, he was so strong, and he has been magnificent in resistance to those around him. Tarvanichkul second, and James Igotzi extends his championship lead with a podium. Fabulous work. Excellent drive from Igotzi again. And it was Gino Trapper who ended up going off the road again on the final lap. That's what brought out the yellow flags as we came across the road. But look at this man, Chris Elfagali. What a sensational drive from the Drivex. He's having a quite quick slowing down lap. Oh, and that is just adding insult to injury for Ian Eichmans. Comes home in 4th place and then conks out after the finish line. So that's the second rookie home, but he breaks down after the finish line. Well, what a drive from Christopher Elfagali, formerly of the Red Bull Junior program. They dropped him at the end of last year. He said, I will bounce back, I will retaliate, I will show the world what I can do. And that he has here at Paul Ricard. This will be a fabulous moment for him. He still carries the Red Bull stickers on his helmet. But this is a fabulous, fabulous victory for Chris Elfagali. As far as he's concerned, this is redemption. A wonderful drive from Chris Elfagali. Absolutely deserves it. Stunning work over the last 20 minutes plus 1 lap. And he gets it done. Enzo Tarvanichkul second, from James Igotzi in third. Ian Eichmans is the second rookie home, and the third rookie home is Heitor Dallara of Brazil. 6th place, and he'll take 5 points in the championship for his trouble. And the winning rookie is the man you're looking at, Chris El-Faghali, the first rookie to take overall victory in 2026 in the EUROCUP-3 championship. Stunning work, and a very deserving victory as the marshals now go to recover Ian Eichmans' car that is stranded at the first corner. At least he made it across the line, but only just by the look of things. As back down the pit road, we will see Christopher El-Faghali take victory in the EuroCup-3 sprint race. Enzo Tarvanichkul, a very solid second place after originally being in pole position. But a fabulous, fabulous work. As Enzo Tarvanichkul gets through in second place, James Zigotzi coming through for third. And there is the provisional results. El-Faghali, Tarvanichkul and Zigotzi, your podium. Eichmans, Pradel and Dallara behind. Chiara Malazzari, Thomas Strauben, Alex Powell and Rafael Perard score the final points. Filippo Fiorentino is best of the rest in front of Santino Panetta, Kasper Stucker and Patrick Hosenroder from the back of the grid to P14. Stefan Boston, Jevan Bart Harrison making good progress. So too did Linus Lundqvist in front of Andrei Petrovic. René Lammers did well to come home in 19th after his problems on lap 1. And in 20th position behind René Lammers is Andre Rodriguez. Bianca Bustamante ahead of Lorenzo Campos, Eduard Borgna and Renzo Barboy from Luca Vizzarono, Benjamin Beckley and the unfortunate Gino Trapper. There were retirements, Alci Feldman-Neto, Ryan Caretti and Stylianos Kolovos. So a tough old race then here in the French Riviera, but a very victorious one for this man, Christopher El-Faghali. He was so resolute at the end of last year. He was in a very difficult frame of mind. He's still very jubilant indeed as he gets out of the car. He cannot wait to celebrate. Highlights on your screen. But that's what it means to Christopher El-Faghali. A big moment for the man from Lebanon. And to right. This is going to mean so much for him and everybody back home in Wadi Chador. Sensational drive from Christopher El-Faghali. Raced in F4 and E4 in the Spanish Championship last year. And then raced, of course, in EuroCup-3 and the F4 Saudi Arabian Championship as well. Very talented competitor. And now he finally gets to soak it up for victory. This has been a long time coming in this paddock for Christopher El-Faghali. He was strong in F4, but he never got the chance to taste victory. Stepping up to EuroCup-3, it's been a long wait, but you know what? It was worth the wait. This will feel so good for Christopher El-Faghali. Jubilation and euphoria as Chris El-Faghali shows the world what he can do. Sensational. So a really strong start to the season in the first of the 3 sprint races this year. It will be a wonderful way to look back, and he'll be watching this one back many, many times over, I'm sure. This will be a special one to relive. Christopher El-Faghali and the Drivex team take a very deserving victory in a championship which is relatively dominated by Campos, MP and Palou. It's wonderful to see Drivex take a victory. Alex Garcia is with Christopher El-Faghali.
Exactly, Jake. I'm here with one of the happiest men in the paddock right now. Yeah. Christopher Faghali, first win finally in EuroCup-3. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thankfully I just had my first win here in Port Ricard, and yeah, I have no words. I'm just very happy. Quali didn't go the way that we wanted. We had a gearbox issue, and yeah, we proved our pace right here in the sprint race.
And motorsport, in many ways, it's about turning a problem or a bad situation into an opportunity, and you did just that. A problem in qualifying can mean a better starting position in the sprint race, and here you are.
Yeah, that could probably be the fate. I mean, we had bad luck in quali, but at the same time, we had a good starting position for the sprint race that led us to this position right now.
Paving new ground in Lebanese motorsport as well. Does that make you proud?
Yes, of course. Not many drivers from Lebanon, so very proud to represent my nation, and yeah, hopefully we can go a longer way also.
They say that once you win your first race, something clicks in your brain, something changes. What changes for Christopher Fagali from now on?
He'll be more mature, he'll be more consistent, and more clear-minded.
And I hope he enjoys a good celebration tonight.
Thank you.
Time to celebrate. One of the smiliest men in the paddock right now, Christopher Fagali, has definitely earned that win today.
Certainly has. It was such a mature and such a controlled drive. We did say that this would be a great opportunity for the drivers starting in the top four to come away with a result that they were not expecting this weekend. But it's been a long time coming for Christopher Fagali. He has shown us so many times in the F4 Spanish Championship and in the EUROCUP-3 Winter Championship. The victory is there. It was dormant. It was under the surface. And he has been able to take advantage of that big opportunity he was given today and say, I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm not going to get it wrong. I'm never going to get a better chance. This is my day. This is my time. And it was wonderful to watch him do it.
Once you get to that point in your career, I think, as a driver, you need to make sure to use those opportunities because they don't necessarily come twice, and they help you develop as a driver. As Christopher himself said, he's going to be more mature, he's going to be more focused, and I think those changes, they really are real. Once you see a driver winning, they suddenly realize that they can do it, even though we knew that he could do it, but even though we knew, even though he knew, he still had to do it. You always need that little bit of confidence boost that you get by actually doing those good results. So let's see how that changes him for the future, but it should be for the better for sure.
But look, let's talk about the story that is hidden behind this fantastic victory. James Zigotsi working his magic out there on the circuit to go from his lowly position on the starting grid to third position. What an opportunity this is for him now. 8 points from today's sprint race when his main rivals did not score anywhere near as many. Keanu Alazari only 4 points, Alex Powell only 2, Lammers no points at all. The man who will sleep the easiest tonight alongside Christopher Fagali is definitely going to be James Zigotsi.
I mean, at the end of the day, when it's very early in the championship to speak too much about points and positions and all of these things, but James Zigotsi's race today still was one of those drives that you need to do if you want to aim for the championship. It was measured, it was well thought, it was not taking too many unnecessary risks, and he still made it to that P3 in the race. Those are good points, especially when your rivals are behind you or not even scoring points at all. And at the end of the season, those points tend to make a difference. So let's see how that evolves from now on. But if nothing else, he has a good starting momentum. So definitely, after being the guy with most wins in the Spanish Winter Championship, he is once again one of the big favorites for this season.
I'll tell you the other story that's really nice about this result. This is not just the first win for Christopher Fagali in EUROCUP-3, but for Drivex too. I mean, this is a team that's not on the same playing budget as MP, as Campos, even as Palou Motorsport now, who have their union with Prema. This is a big moment for Drivex. We saw them do so well with Nathan Tai in the early part of the Spanish Winter Championship in F4. That's one thing. The F4 Championship is tough, but EuroCup-3 with this brand new car, it's kind of an opportunity for everybody to just open up the opportunity and go for something even bigger. What an opportunity this has been, though, for Drivex, and they've taken it with open arms. This is a wonderful chance for them as a team, and they have taken it in fantastic fashion. Drivex have really struggled to stay at the same sort of level as the opposition, and this is great for them to pick up their first win in EuroCup-3.
Exactly, and I think, Jake, if you think, we can ask Christopher about it. We didn't ask you about this, Christopher, but this is also the team's first win in EuroCup-3. That's another extra bit of happiness, isn't it?
I didn't. I had no clue. I thought they won in the previous years of EuroCup, but yeah, that adds to the emotion.
Adds to the party as well.
Yeah,
did you talk to Miguel?
Yeah. We just had a long hug with Luis also, and they were amazing.
This is definitely a special moment. Thank you, Christopher. it's a great moment for Drivex, for of course Christopher Fegani, for in many ways for the championship as well, because we are seeing more drivers winning, we are seeing more teams winning, and we are seeing things changing. Look at that, look at this image, Jake. This is definitely the happiness that we're seeing here in Port Ricard. Oh, you love to see these things.
I can't do better television than that. Fantastic. Chris Alfagali, his father raising him on his shoulders. He will never, ever forget this day. And I'm sure that all the motorsport fans back in Lebanon will never forget this day either. There's a beautiful majesty in having a nation walk onto the international motorsport platform for the first time and take victory. When they're not used to being a motorsport nation, there's always something very special about one driver stepping up to the plate and saying, I'm going to make some history today. I'm going to change our stars. Ian Eichmans goes over to congratulate Christopher Alfagali on a fantastic race. Eichmans has been able to get back. We had to wait, of course, because he was stranded at turn 1, so we had to run back to the paddock. But how about this? You're going to see 2 Red Bull affiliated drivers in the first 2 positions on the podium of the sprint race, the first of 3 sprint races in 2026. So a fantastic situation then for the Drivex team, who have worked so hard to get to this point, and for Chris Alfagali. And knowing the pride that Lebanon takes in its athletes, it would not at all shock me if the people back home in Wadi Chedor wake up tomorrow and this boy is plastered all over the national newspapers on the back pages of the sports section. What a moment for this young man, a great talent. And as you mentioned before, Alex, this could very easily open the floodgates for Christopher Alfagali. Once you get your first win, you're like a hungry man who's just figured out how to break into the fridge. Once you've learned, you never forget how to do it.
Absolutely, Jake, and this is why we love to see these kind of results, because they fundamentally change the face of the category. They change the way the rules are played, in a sense. And you know, you were talking about all the news that are going to be covering this tomorrow morning in Lebanon. I'm sure that the many televisions are going to be showing these images of the podium with the Lebanese anthem as well, which will be a very, very good, very nice moment for them.
Well, now he's going to join some pretty prosperous nations athletes from Lebanon, the likes of Samir Tauk, Ray Basil, Letitia Ayoun, Noureddin Hadid, Kamnob Sagabov, and Greta Tazlakian, just to name a few. But of course, there's going to be a big opportunity now for the fabulous Christopher Alfagali to join their ranks.
Looking forward to seeing how that changes fundamentally motorsport over there. Because, you know, we were talking about this before, and we've seen how situations like this, they make new karting drivers, they create opportunities, and chances like what we've seen in Argentina with Franco Colapinto as well, and so many Argentinian drivers now racing in Europe. We saw it, of course, many years ago with Fernando Alonso and how things changed in Spain. And every time one of these drivers are trailblazer in European motorsport or international motorsport indeed, you always can count on a new crop coming in just a few years. So look forward to that, Jake, because I think those countries are hungry to get into the game. And I think they're going to be joining us very, very, very soon. If they're not already here, actually, of course, with Fegari in this case.
So true. There's been quite an interesting time for Lebanon in world sports. Of course, Samir Tauk, who represented the nation at Milan Cortina 2026 in cross-country skiing. Letitia Ayoun, who was at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games for Taekwondo. And then, of course, the brilliant story of Greta Tazlakian, who was born in Gadir, specializing in the 200-meter sprinting category. Mainly it's athletics and Olympic sports that Lebanon has had a great history with. Well, this weekend, they've got an ace racing driver that they can be proud of to add to their nation's ranks. Christopher Alfagali comes of age here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, the former home of the French Grand Prix. And now we're going to see Christopher Alfagali enjoy the moment that we have been waiting for a long time, and certainly everyone back home in Lebanon has been waiting for. Nobody has ever heard the Lebanese national anthem on the top step of an FIA accredited podium ceremony. What a moment this is for everyone back home in Lebanon and across the Middle East in general, at a time when everyone in that region needs a little bit of joy. They're certainly going to get some now. So James Zigotsi, Enzo Tamanichkul and Chris Alfagali will take to the top of the podium, and of course we'll get to see the rookie podium as well, represented by Heitor Dallanyol of Brazil, Ian Eichmans of Belgium, and Chris Alfagali will be on the top of that podium as well. Winning rookie and winner overall. And of course, it's going to be a special moment too for the Drivex team. They will get the winning trophy for the teams. Alex, it's a historic moment. Wonderful that EuroCup-3 can be a little part of that.
Yes, exactly. It is just fantastic to see EuroCup-3 playing a part in this little bit of historic moment. And I think this is setting a good standard for the 2026 season. We have plenty of good talents from many countries, from many teams. And we have proven that at least half of them can win races in here. And if we go from what we saw last year with so many winners, why not can we see the same thing this year? Why not can we see a fight going on until the very last round? Why not could we see a bunch of new winners, rookies and veterans alike? And why not continue to enjoy what is setting itself to be one of the most important, I think, feeder series in the European scene?
Well, that's going to be a historic bottle of champagne. And of course, Chris Alfagali will get to spray it because there is no race later today. So I'm sure he's going to enjoy the moment very well indeed. This is a credit to all of the work done by Dallara, Toms, Engiza 101, Cosworth, and all of the fantastic team at Hankook. This is a really exciting championship in 2026, already 2 races in. But certainly for the fans back home in Miami, in Florida, for James Zigotsi, this is a critical race. He needed to deliver, he needed to score big points with a lead already in his pocket to really stamp his authority on EuroCup-3 in the 2026 season, and he couldn't have done it in a better way. Another podium, and that puts him on 33 points provisionally, with the man moving up to second in the championship, Ian Eichmans, provisionally on 19, with René Lammers and Gianmarco Pradel now tied on 18, Powell on 17, and Chiara Malazari with another points finish in his pocket on 13, Enzo Tamanichkul on 11, and Christopher Alfagali with that victory goes straight up to P8 in the standings with 10 juicy points. James Zigotsi, take a bow, sir. He extends his lead in the championship to 14. At the end of race 1, it was 7. That is such an incredible moment for James Zigotsi, and it could be title defining. For Enzo Tamanichkul, second place, and he'll be happy with that. The Super Thai, who of course is based nowadays in Marbella in Spain, a very proud member of the Red Bull family. But so is this guy, the man from Lebanon, takes a historic victory. Drivex takes their historic win too. And for everybody back home in Wadi Chidor, this could be the first day of many that Christopher Alfagali gets to stand on the top step of the podium, and we get to hear the national anthem for Lebanon. A historic moment for world motorsport. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, said John F. Kennedy many, many years ago. Well, Chris El Faghali has just put the nation of Lebanon permanently on the motorsport map. Great victory for Drivex, great victory for Christopher El Faghali as a rookie too. Fabulous, fabulous moment. So they're going to get some fabulous trophies, the top three drivers on the podium. The man from Miami in Florida, a big moment for Miami this weekend with the Grand Prix happening at the same time. But their boy wonder could be joining them in the Grand Prix paddock in years to come, especially as James Igotzi picks up his second trophy almost in as many hours. And it's a fabulous performance from Enzo Tambranichkul, as he says Kapun Kap on the podium for picking up his trophy in second position. But on the top step of the podium, maybe not for the first time, but certainly we hope not for the last, Christopher El Faghali takes a joyous victory on the international motorsport stage, having done so many times in karting in the Gulf region. Now he shows the world that this is not just a flash in the pan moment. This is the beginning of a legacy. And so Christopher El Faghali enjoys his time on the top step of the podium, as does the Drivex team. This is a fabulous day to start the EUROCUP-3 championship season. James Igotzi pulls 14 points clear, and Lebanon gets an international victory in FIA-accredited motorsport. There's nothing left to do here today at the Circuit Paul Ricard than for the boys to get busy with the fizzy. Chris El Faghali, Enzo Tambranichkul, and James Igotzi bring us to the dusk here at Paul Ricard in the best fashion possible, as Drivex really soaks up the moment. James Igotzi will sleep the easiest of all with a 14-point lead going into race 2 tomorrow. But after race 1 and the sprint race, it's been a fantastic start to the EUROCUP-3 Championship 2026, and there's so much more to come. But of course, everybody back home in Lebanon will be enjoying this very much indeed. I'm sure there were many tears shed when the national anthem played out on the rostrum here at Paul Ricard. For the first time in motorsport, the Lebanese national anthem rings out at an international FIA accredited meeting, but I promise you, it won't be the last time. There have been many race drivers from Lebanon before, but never to actually take a victory at this level. There's been some great performances over the years, and certainly some good signs that there were definitely going to be some great performances to come from the likes of Khalil Bashir, who of course represented Lebanon in the World Cup of Motorsport back in the day, to the likes of Joe Ghanem, to Basel Shaban, and of course, technically speaking, to Graham Rahal, who has Lebanese roots, of course. But Christopher El Faghali, the first one to really step up and take the plaudits. Joining him on the rookie podium will be Ricard Dallara of Brazil in the red polo overalls, and in the orange and black overalls, Ian Eichmans returns to the rookie podium for the second time today. But once again, on the top step of the rookie podium, it's that man once more, Christopher El Faghali. 2 trophies for the price of 1. A fabulous historic moment, and certainly he goes into tomorrow with a lot of pressure taken off his shoulders. They always ask you, when's your first win? When's it coming? How close are you going to get? Well, today, nobody will be asking Chris El Faghali that anymore. Ricard Dallara and Ian Eichmans come up with the goods to share in the spoils on the rookie podium. But Chris El Faghali, an overall victor as the winner in the rookie class as well. It's the perfect day for the young man from Gadi Wador in Lebanon. So they stand together on the rostrum, and guess what, Chris? You get to do it all again. Join us tomorrow when we've got more great action in EuroCup-3. Race 2 will see the Australian Gianmarco Bradell in pole position. Chris El Faghali becomes the newest winner in the EUROCUP-3 paddock, and James Zigotsi goes into tomorrow with over a dozen points lead. From me, Jake Sanson, from Alex Garcia, and from everybody here at the Le Castellet Circuit Paul Ricard in southern France, Saturday is Saturday. Now we get to sleep easy and go into race 2 tomorrow, when we wonder who is going to join James Zigotsi and Christopher Elfagali as winners in EUROCUP-3 2026. À demain!
Rendez-vous demain pour les retrouver. Et dans quelques instants, nous allons venir ici sur la green walk avant le rendez-vous de cette fin de journée, parce que vous allez vivre une course extrêmement sympathique.